Today's Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and today I'm going to be looking at Shock Express, the essential guide to exploitation cinema. This had been a magazine in the UK, and Titan Books began publishing it as books as opposed to the usual floppy magazine format. I've got 2 volumes here. This is volume 1. I was going to just do a quick look through. It was a great resource in those early days. I'll give you a quick look at some of the things they cover, and you can decide if you think it's worth tracking down. Like I said, this is volume 1. This is, let's see, what was the copyright on this bad boy? 1991. And so early days. Starts off with a little bit of exposition on what kind of stuff they're covering and things like that. Then they have this unkindest cut of all. This is an interview with one of the censors. This is one of the guys who caused the big brouhaha known as the video nasties kind of thing, because he's the one who made them cut all kinds of things out of the movies that they wanted to release on video. And the person who interviews him is pretty respectful, which I guess you have to do if you want to interview someone like this. They do ask them about films like Death Wish and The Exorcist, and there's not a lot in here, and The Trip. So there's a lot of weird, smaller films that have inexplicable cuts that I would have rather had them answer about why did you do this? Whereas I can kind of see why they did these cuts. I don't agree with them, but I kind of see what they were talking about for some of these things. Shocking Asia, Exploitation Cinema in the Philippines. Several of the books and fanzines that I've talked about in my videos have covered this. This is a good look at these films. They cover the usual high points: Wonder Women, Terrors of Man, the Blood Island films, Blood Drinkers. Blood Drinkers is a weird. There's one shot in Blood Drinkers where the vampire has bitten someone's throat, and it looks like they put raw hamburger on to show that there's supposed to be a bite wound there. It's kind of funny. But most of these films, like I said, have been covered at other places. They do mention one film in here that I had never heard of before, and I always meant to check out, and then I forgot about it. I don't see an English title here for it. So I'm going to, now that there's internets out there, I bet it's probably on YouTube or something. So I might have to go look for that. Then there's an interview with John Waters. Now, I like finding these old interviews with people, even like someone like John Waters. He's done a lot of interviews, but he says some things in here that are a little more outrageous than he goes for nowadays. He was much more into his, basically his version of trolling through interviews, saying stuff to get a rise out of people, I think. This is around the time of Polyester and Crybaby. It's a fun interview. He's always funny. He's a great storyteller. And of course he covers his early films too. This is a kind of odd, considering the theme. Using the word odd is odd. Freaks in the Cinema. It's freaks as in like Todd Browning, like sideshow freaks kind of thing. It starts off with freaks. It talks about different freaks in the cinema. It covers Richard Kiel films because he's a freak because he's so tall. He's a giant. kind of thing. So movies he was in. This is an odd thing, though. This is an odd. There's Rondo Hatton, who of course got his roles in films because of his acromegaly that distorted his features. But the thing about this is that he covers all the different movies he can that have little people in them, and they're pretty common. Using small people for your films is not, he even talks about like Star Wars, because there was a little person who was in R2D2. It's kind of weird. And he mentions, even though he's talking about real freaks used in films, he also talks about the Elephant Man, because at the beginning of the film, it shows the sideshow where John Merrick was displayed to make money early on. I don't know. This one's all over the place. I'm not sure about this, how useful this particular one was. Then there's an early interview with Clive Barker. He was doing Nightbreed at the time, and so he's talking about Nightbreed, but they also talked to him about Hellraiser. I am in hell, help me. Sex, death, animal porno, and lesbians, censorship in Germany. Yeah, they do decide to censor some weird things in Germany and let other odd things go. This is what's an interesting interview with David Cronenberg, talking about filming Naked Lunch. There he is with Burroughs himself. That was kind of cool. One of the writers gives his top 10 favorite films. It's a fun little list of films. Nothing you wouldn't have heard of already. This is an interesting one. It's Fighting a Battle That Is Finished, the cinematic plight of the Vietnam vet. So it's about the use of Vietnam vets in genre films and exploitation films. And although I don't know if I would really classify Taxi Driver, although it definitely feels like an exploitation film. that New York grime in that movie certainly makes it feel that way. My Friends Need Killing, Combat Shack. This actually could probably use an updating. This is actually a pretty good article. I really enjoyed it. Pretty much closing it out with Rambo and the Rambo knockoffs, and it gives us, the selected filmography isn't even everything that they covered in the article. So, Harry Allen Towers films. So, there's an article on The Brain That Wouldn't Die, which is that's just such a that is one of my favorite all-time movies. I'm so glad that they found that slightly gorier cut that they were able to release later on home. I don't know if it actually popped up on tape, or it was until it was on DVD that the more uncut thing was found. But that's the version that's mostly available now. It is just one of the goofiest, greatest movies, just so bizarre. Here we have a little color insert. It's goes along with all different articles in here. So, for the Vietnam vet, for the Philippines movies. But they pick out some good things. They pick out some good, there's Maniac, Mad Doctor of Blood Island. Good use if you've only got a little bit of color. So I won't go through this whole thing here. But needless to say, it's a really fun book. I really enjoy this. I was glad when I found this. I'm definitely going to give this more of a perusal now that I've got it out of storage. There's a Joe Dante interview. And then there's reviews in the back of things that have just gotten a home video release. And here's volume 2. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but it's more of the same. More of the same. You know, some fun stuff. Ramsey Campbell. Django the Bastard. Saturday Night Beaver. Anyway, so there you go. That is the Shock Express. I think the writing is good enough. You still would find it fun to track these down. The individual issues of the fanzine, I remember them being kind of slim. I don't have any of those in this box. I remember them being kind of slim. If you can find them inexpensively enough, you know, all well and good. I don't know how hard they are to find, but there you go. Have a good one.